I will conduct autopsies without blame. I will focus on the facts without being emotionally charged. I will not take things personally, and I will not attack others. I will identify lessons learned and use those lessons to improve our processes so we don't make the same mistake again. This pledge reminds me of a lot of situations, especially that involve customer problems. When a customer has a problem, we all feel very passionate about making the customer happy, doing what's right by the customer. And, there's a lot of a tendency, a lot of times the customers choose somebody out, and there's, they kind of bring back that struggle with them. They want to choose somebody else out. We always want to find someone to blame. We want to find a scapegoat. Why did this happen? This is the person that caused it, and I think a lot of that is we don't want to take personal responsibility for it ourselves and feel like we made a mistake. So there's a natural tendency to blame someone else. And I see this happen in many a meeting that we've had. Specifically, I think about a customer that a couple of years ago, may not have been that long, that was very unhappy with us. And they weren't happy with the people they were dealing with. They weren't happy with the solution. They were just unhappy with the whole 9 yards, and basically had said, hey, how much time do we have left in our contract? We're just waiting it out so that we can leave. So that was kind of the status of the customer, to put in perspective. So we had an internal autopsy without blame. And at first there was a lot of tendency, we were kind of like, this customer's crazy. This is all the stuff we've done to go above and beyond for this customer. We're trying to make them happy, and it doesn't matter what we do. It just seems to make things worse. And so there was a first reaction to just blame the customer. They're crazy. They don't know what we're doing for them. Let's just write them off, and charge them as much as we can or whatever, and just let them leave. That was the initial, fleshly gut reaction. I want to do that. But we followed our process, and we said, okay, let's come together. Let's get the right people in the room, and let's conduct an autopsy without blame. And so we went through that process, and we learned a lot through that process. We had to figure out, okay, where had we messed up? What were the facts of the situation? And try to take all the emotion out of it and just simply look at the facts. And as we did that, we were able to develop a very good game plan. One, we kind of said, okay, right, wrong, or indifferent. Some employees, there's kind of a bridge that's been burned there. So let's not put those employees as the point person. So we kind of shifted and let some other employees that were fresh to the situation kind of get a fresh start. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was we kind of took a bold step and actually asked the customer for more of their services. Because one of the problems was that there was multiple vendors getting blamed, as if that ever happens, and so the customer wasn't having their complete solution working for them, even though we thought that ours was doing what it needed to do. The whole thing wasn't coming together for the customer, and they were frustrated. And so we actually asked for that part of their business that there was the most conflict with, so that we could control it and make it work for them. So we had our game plan and kind of got our ducks in a row. We were feeling good about it. But then we had to have an autopsy with the customer, and hopefully without blame. So went and met with the customer, took a few shots on the chin in the process, but ultimately was able to get the customer somewhat begrudgingly. But they came around and they said, okay, fine, you take it and you better make it work, or we're definitely leaving. And so we did. And then a year later, the customer actually not only was a happy customer at that point, but they even gave us more of their services so that we could continue to take out more of the blaming and pointing that had been going on with that. So it's a great reminder to me that even when a situation looks really bad, even when there's a lot of blaming that's going on, it's a great time to come together as a team, look at what the facts are, and conduct that autopsy and take the emotional charge out of it. Take the blaming other people. Take personal responsibility, for our individual pieces and our piece as a company, and figure out what are those lessons learned. And we did that as well. We said, okay, here's some things that we learned, and we improved our processes down the road so that hopefully we don't get to that point, with a customer. And I've seen us, being able to do that with a couple other customers to cut it off, early on and make sure that we don't get sideways with the customer. But just a great reminder, to us. Kind of makes me think of Thomas Edison. He always says, I haven't failed. I just simply found, 10,000 things that didn't work. And he always looked at everything that he had. Instead of looking at, a failure, I tried this filament and then that didn't make the light bulb work. He said, okay, I found something that doesn't make the light bulb work. So that's one less thing for me to try. And so he looked at it that way, and that's the way that I want us to look at it, is not, hey, here's who we need to blame and here's the failure and let's relish in that. But no, let's say, okay, what have we learned from this situation, and then how can we improve as a company, and ultimately, to make it better for our customers.